Okay, good morning to all the participants. We are going with the week 3 of plant biotechnology, and we have discussed about the basics of plant technology, plant tissue culture. Okay, and we had few sessions with respect to what is somatic embryogenesis. Okay, and now I'll just proceed with the topic of artificial seed. Okay, today my topic is all about what is artificial seed. Just wait. Okay. Okay, I'll talk briefly about somatic hybrids and hybrids also, and I'll just let you know about what are artificial seeds. So we had discussed about what is plant tissue culture, what are the requirements, okay, what about the explant and what about the various culture medias, okay, how we prepare the culture media, what are the basic nutrients which are required for the growth of a plant in vitro culture. Okay, and what about the role of plant growth regulators? Okay, so all this is done when we are picking up in case of our plant tissue culture, we were picking the parts of the plant called as the explants. We were converting them into callus. Callus culture was then we had studied about the process of somatic embryogenesis also. Okay, so ultimately we were going with the production of a whole plant and what about the production of this plant, how it is being transferred to the geographical locations, about the acclimatization condition. Okay, so all this was discussed about the role of plant growth regulators, like what about the role of auxin, cytokinin in the formation of shoot, in the formation of roots. Okay, but what about the artificial seeds? Okay, so generally what the farmers they are doing, they are just using the seeds and they are just trying to grow the seed plants through these seeds. Okay, so but in case of certain seeds which are not having the potential to grow into a plant to produce to just develop their shoot or root, they are actually being converted into these artificial seeds which are also known as synthetic seeds. Okay, so we can say that these artificial seeds or synthetic seeds, they are actually having the embryo. Embryo is there, and the embryo will be ultimately converted into a plant. Okay, the shoot will be there, the root will be there, but all this, the production of the whole plant, this will be when we'll be consuming the somatic embryo in the form of an encapsulation. Okay, the seed is actually used in an encapsulated manner. It is an encapsulation of the somatic embryo. It is not an actual seed, it is an encapsulated somatic embryo. Okay, and but it is having the ability to be converted into a plant in the same manner like the normal seed. The way the normal seed grows, in the same manner it will be converted into the plant. Okay, and the process, this process will take place by it can be in vitro as well as it can be ex vitro also. Both the conditions, under both the conditions we can go with the production of the artificial seeds. Okay, yesterday you had a session about somatic embryogenesis, so you must be aware that what about the production, the development of an embryo, and that is through any other cell, the somatic cells, and how the process of somatic embryogenesis takes place, what about the shooting and rooting that takes place, and how the plant grows. Okay, so these somatic embryos, they can be termed as bipolar structures because we are having the apical meristem and the basal meristematic regions, and what they are doing, they are just converted into shoots as well as roots. Okay, and like this, the plant grows under the somatic embryogenesis process. Okay, so now I'll talk about a brief history about this. So this ketogenic, they talked about this first coated carrot embryoids. Okay, and these carrot embryoids, they were coated with polyoxyethylene and they were used as artificial seeds. These were the first ones, they were being developed back in 1982 and they were used as artificial seeds. Okay, but later on in 1984, Redenberg et al. They developed a technique, and that was used when an individual somatic embryo that was being encapsulated, and in order to go with the encapsulation, they used these hydrogels like sodium alginate was being used, and this was seen in alpha alpha. Okay, and while in the use of this particular technique with the encapsulation of these somatic embryos in alpha alpha, they also found what was the role of the abscisic acid. Okay, so we have talked about the two plant growth regulators. There was earlier sessions where discussions we had about what are the role of different plant growth regulators, whether it is auxin, cytokinin, abscisic acid, ethylene. Okay, so cytokinin, auxin, they were helpful for the shoot and root development, and abscisic acid, this is also helpful for the somatic embryogenesis process. Okay, so the role was also being discovered back in 1984 only, and these three were the scientists, Seneretna, McCarthy, and Bowley. Okay, later on in the concept of artificial seeds that came into existence, and it was considered to be one of the famous techniques because it was being used to go with the propagation of plants. We can grow various plants, and for such plants which were not able to produce any seeds. Okay, or we can just take the help of these artificial seeds to produce these polyploids with the elite traits as well. Okay, and there were certain problems with respect to various kinds of infections or diseases that the plant is going through. So in such cases, this artificial seeding process was very much helpful. Okay, being the clonal in nature, the technique cuts short, laborious selection procedure of conventional recombination breeding. So that is the reason it was also preferred for this particular reason. Okay, here you can see artificial seeds. They are being prepared just in case we are having certain species where the production of seed is not possible. Okay, in these cases, we can go for the production of artificial seeds, the non-seed production species. Okay, or we are having the species which is having some difficulty in the seed production. Possibly the amount of seeds being produced is not in a required manner. Okay, so in that particular case also we can go with the production of these artificial seeds, or we want to just deal with the elite genotypes, then also we can go with the artificial seeds. And obviously in the genetic engineering, engineered plants and crops, artificial seeds are being prepared, they are being preserved as well for future uses. Okay, and the plant is grown, as I told you, both in vitro as well as in ex vitro cultures. Okay, and in case of hybrid plants also, we can go with the production of these artificial seeds, where we can produce the hybrid seeds and we can just preserve them as our artificial seeds, and we can use them for plant purposes. Okay, and what about the benefits of the artificial seeds? So obviously this is helping to produce the pathogen free plants. Okay, so artificial seeds will definitely help to produce plants which are actually pathogen free, and we can just take these artificial seeds and we can plant them directly into the field. Okay, because we will just go whenever the artificial seed is being prepared, so we need to check what about the environmental conditions. Is it okay growing in the culture media? We are just trying to provide all such environmental conditions and required culture media's nutrients, plant growth regulators to the artificial seed, and we check that will it be fully grown and it will acclimatize the environmental changes. And artificial seeds, they give good results, they can be directly being grown in the fields direct. Okay, so the next thing is genetic uniformity. Obviously, because we are going with these artificial seeds, so the genetic makeup of the cells, the genes, the plant is actually can be easily maintained in case of artificial seeds. So genetic uniformity is one of the benefits of our artificial seed production. And obviously they are dealing with low cost and fast reproduction. We can have multiple a large number of artificial seeds. Easily we can produce them. So the reproduction rate is comparatively large if we talk about the general reproduction rate, how the plants they produce these seeds. So this is comparatively at a higher rate, and it is taking uh, low cost as well. Okay. And if you want to go, important factor is, as I told you, we can preserve these artificial seeds. So it helps in the germplasm storage as well. So this is helpful for the storage of germplasm, and we can store these seeds and we can use it easily. Okay, so when we go with the method of production of these artificial seeds, so we need to understand that there are these are the few steps which we need to undergo while going with the production of any artificial seed. And the first step is we need to go with the establishment of the callus culture. Okay, so you all are aware that what is a callus, how we are just picking up the explants, the parts of the plants. Okay, and we are growing that into a callus. We are preparing a callus culture. Then we need to, what we need to move ahead is we need to just induce the process of somatic embryogenesis. That is, the embryo needs to be developed in this callus culture. Okay, and as soon as the maturation of this somatic embryogenesis takes place, we need to understand, we need to synchronize and singulate the somatic embryos, the mass production of the somatic embryogenesis. These embryos, they take place. So we need to standardize these somatic embryos. Okay, we need to separate individually, we need to take, or we need to provide all the possible basic requirements that are used for the development of this embryo into a seedling. Okay, giving up all the basic nutrients, the macronutrients, the micronutrients. Okay, and the media, the culture media should be prepared in a manner that it will have, depending on the necessity of the plant, or what are the plant growth regulators. There should be auxin, there should be cytokinin and abscisic acid as well. Okay, so depending on the requirement of the seedling, the culture media is being prepared. Okay, and the culture media is being improved time and again. And obviously all this process, whatever we are doing, starting with the establishment of the callus culture, extracting the explant, going with callus culture, then maturation of somatic embryos. All this takes place in an environment which should be a sterile environment. We need to go with an aseptic condition always. Okay, so after we have gone with the mass production, the encapsulation. Okay, encapsulation is an important part, because what we are doing, we are not having just the seed. Okay, it is actually a seedling. It is having a developed, there is a shoot. Okay, and there is a root. So in case of artificial seeds, the difference between a normal seed and artificial seed is that in a seed, we just take the seed and we let it just grow in the fields. And in the fields, in the soil, it actually goes with the shooting and rooting process. But in case of artificial seeds, we are already having a seedling with a small shoot, with a small root, and we are just putting it in an environment, in an encapsulated environment. Okay, and we are preserving it. And whenever we have just we want to go with the production of the embryoids, with the production of the whole plant, then we can transfer them into a medium. It can be an in vitro medium or an in ex vitro medium. Okay, we can move it in the greenhouses. We can study what about the growth of the seedling into a whole plant, and how they will just acclimatize in the general fields, in the geographical locations, and what about the production or the planting of these artificial seeds. Okay, So this is a representation of the whole process. You can just see we have gone through the basic concepts of plant tissue culture, and we are very much aware that plant tissue culture is something where we are just picking the parts of the plant and we are using these parts to regenerate new plants. Okay, so the basic concept of tissue culture is we are picking the tissues or the small portions of these plants, and we are converting them into the whole plant by the process of shooting and rooting. So these small parts, like if it can be a leaf, stem, or part of a root, so they are said to be the explants. We are just retrieving or extracting the explants from the plant. Okay, and then the first important thing that I told you, whenever we are going with the process of plant tissue culture, going with any technique under this plant tissue culture, we need to understand everything should be done in a sterile condition, in a sterile environment. Okay, so the moment we have picked our explant, whatever you want to choose, we can choose any of them, and we need to go with the surface sterilization. Okay, we need to now consider that what kind of media we want to proceed for. We want to go with the solid media or we want to go with the liquid media. Okay, we can choose either of them, and we can now just watch what about the production of the callus. Okay, so in the media you will just see that how the explant it is being grown into the callus, and now how the embryo is being produced. Okay, so it is obviously a somatic embryo because it is not being developed from the reproductive parts of the plant. They are being prepared from any somatic cell, and somatic embryos are being produced. And the moment we have got these somatic embryos, so we need to understand after the maturation of these somatic embryos, as in we need to see that there is a seedling where we will have a shoot and we will have a small root. So we will just put these somatic embryos into sodium alginate. So it is a kind of a media which will help to encapsulate, to cover this seedling, and we will have these artificial seeds. So here you can see we need to put whatever media we are considering. We are considering a liquid media or a solid media. So first of all, we'll go proceed with the production of the callus. Here you can see easily, and after the callus is being produced, we will go through how the somatic embryogenesis is taking place, and we'll study about the whole somatic embryo. And then we need to put these embryos into the sodium alginate environment, and these embryoids, what we will finally get are the embryoids. They will get mixed with these sodium alginate solution. Okay, this is used for encapsulation of the embryoid, and this calcium chloride solution, it will just we will pour this solution in this calcium chloride solution. It will help to just prepare a bead like structure, and we will have these synthetic seeds or the artificial seeds in the encapsulated bead in this calcium chloride in a solution environment. Okay, so this is all about artificial seed, how we just prepare the artificial seeds. And while going with the process of encapsulation of these somatic embryos, okay, so we need to have an environment which will just help our seed to be encapsulated. We can preserve them, and we can use these encapsulated environments or the artificial seeds, and we can take them to the fields and we can start the process of plantation there. Okay, so these are actually water soluble hydrogels. So these hydrogels are there which are covering the embryoid, the seedling, and you can see there are certain combinations. I have not mentioned about the concentration which we need to use, but whenever we are using, we can use these gels, sodium alginate, and the complexing agent should be calcium salts or sodium alginate with gelatin, calcium chloride, okay, carrageenan, potassium or ammonia chloride, gel-right with temperature should be lowered in that condition. Okay, so all this can be used for the encapsulation of our somatic embryos. Okay, so when we go with the process of encapsulation as in when we are trying to cover our embryoid with a gel. So we can go with either of the two methods. Okay, we can go with the gel complication, can be done by the help of dropping procedure, or we can just go with the process of molding. Okay, so we have gone with the production of a somatic embryos. We will isolate our somatic embryos and we need to mix them with sodium alginate. Okay, so this sodium alginate, it should be with a percentage of around 0.5 to 5%. Okay, weight by volume, and this should be the concentration of sodium alginate, and we need to drop it into calcium nitrate solution. It should be with a concentration of around 30 to 100 micromolars. Okay, so we can use this, and we can just go with the process of encapsulation. This is said to be the dropping procedure. Here a back here you have seen, this was the dropping procedure. So first the embryos, they were being mixed with the gel, okay, the sodium alginate, and then it was being dropped into the environment of calcium chloride solution. So the moment it is being dropped, you will see beads will be prepared for our embryoid. Okay, so surface complexation, it actually begins the moment it reaches, the moment our encapsulated this embryoid reaches into the calcium nitrate solution. So complexation occurs immediately, and we will see that drops are being prepared, these gels are being prepared, and within a period of 30 minutes you will see that the whole this calcium nitrate solution will be filled with these gels, these balls or these beads, okay, which are consisting of these embryoids and the encapsulation of calcium nitrate, sodium alginate. Okay, so this can be done by the process of dropping procedure, and the other procedure is we can move ahead with the process of molding. So in case of molding, these somatic embryos, they need to be isolated and they need to be mixed with the gel. Depending on the, there should be a defined temperature needs to be maintained. Okay, and like for example, gel right is a suitable temperature dependent gel. And then what we need to do is we need to place this in the well of a micro titer plate, and there it will again form the gel. The moment the temperature it goes down, the moment cooling occurs, so we will see beads of our embryoid, of our somatic embryo here. Okay, so both these methods, they are famous for the encapsulation process. Okay, so this is what it looks like. You can see these are these small seedlings, the embryoids, and these are the beads, they after the encapsulation. They look like this. I hope so this is visible here. So these are the beads and these are the seedlings. They are having just small shoots and small root. Okay, so what about the types of artificial seeds? If I talk about the types of artificial seeds, then there are basically, I'll talk about two basic kinds. The first one is the desiccated system. So what happens, because we are developing these artificial seeds by the help of this somatic embryo, so we need to understand that these somatic embryos will undergo the process of hardening. Okay, so desiccation generally refers to drying. So so we need to understand that will the somatic embryo, if it is given an environment and if it is hardened, so will it withstand the process, the desiccation, the drying process? So first we need to see that, and then what we need to do is we need to put it, encapsulate it in a coating material. Okay, so these somatic embryos, they can be hardened. If you want to go with the process of desiccation, then we need to do it either by treating them or coating them with suitable polymer, followed by treating them with the abscisic acid, because this will actually help the somatic embryo to germinate in future. Okay, so this can be done So if we are going with the process of desiccated system, so in case of desiccated artificial seeds, the first one was developed by Kim and Jenis, and that was being developed from the somatic embryo of carrot. Okay, and they had used the agent, the hardening agent, which they used. The coating was done by the help of this polyethylene oxide. Okay, so in case of desiccated system, as you understood that this is the process where desiccation is taking place, the hardening of the somatic embryos is taking place, and we are just encapsulating the somatic embryo with the coating material. It can be any suitable polymer, and along with this suitable polymer, we can also treat it with a plant growth regulator, that is abscisic acid, because that is actually helpful for the process of germination of this somatic embryo. Okay, the other one is this hydrated artificial seeds. Okay, so these somatic embryos, they will be enclosed in the gels which are in a hydrated condition. They are in they are having a sufficient amount of water in them. Okay, so calcium alginate is the most suitable gel which they use for the production of these artificial seeds, that is of the hydrated manner. And alginate hydrogels, they are frequently selected as a matrix for these synthetic seeds. Okay, because they have a moderate viscosity, and the toxicity is also very much low for the somatic embryos. Okay, and the process of gel formation is very quick at a higher speed, and obviously the whole process, it takes a low cost. Okay, so that is the reason these calcium alginates, they are used, and the alginate hydrogels, they are frequently used when we go with the process of hydrated artificial seed production. Okay, so agar is considered inferior to this alginate with respect to the long-term storage, because we can store it in these hydrogels for a long time period. Okay, and alginate is chosen because it also enhances the formation of the capsules. It protects the somatic embryos from any kind of mechanical injury. Okay, the moment it encapsulates the somatic embryo, it is just protecting it from any kind of mechanical injury, from outside injury, and just protecting the embryo inside. Okay, and these artificial seeds, the hydrated seeds, they are sticky, and they are different to handle, difficult to handle. The reason, but because on a large scale, if you're having a large scale of these artificial seeds in a hydrated manner, so they are very much difficult to handle, and are they are being dried initially in the open air, so that they can be stored easily. And the problem is majorly because the bead, they are having some sort of surface which is sticky. So what they are doing is they are just providing a waxy coating over the bead so that it can be handled easily. Okay, so however, when we are going with the hydrated artificial seeds, so we can easily plant them, and we can see how the plant is being produced as compared to the desiccated version. This hydrated version, this is more feasible. It will be easily, we can plant it into this field, and we can see how the shoot production and the root production takes place, and how the whole plant is regenerated once again. Okay, this scientist Redenberg, he actually developed this hydrated artificial seed, and what he did was he mixed actually the somatic embryos of alfalfa, celery, and cauliflower with sodium alginate, and he used the technique of dropping. Instead of molding, he used the technique of dropping, and he dropped these beads, these somatic embryos basically, into the calcium chloride nitrate to calcium to form the calcium alginate. So these beads were being prepared, and he was the first person who worked on these hydrated artificial seeds. He used these three varieties, and he studied what about the production of these beads under the hydrated artificial seed production. Okay, so this is a small diagram. It is a little blur a picture, you can see we are very much aware that natural seed, it is having this cotyledon, this is the embryo. Okay, so in case of our artificial seed, we need to have an artificial endosperm. Okay, artificial seed coat is there, and we are having this somatic embryo. Okay, so this is a small picture. Okay, so what about the potential uses of our artificial seeds? Okay, so artificial seed, this will definitely help in the cost reduction of transplantation process. Okay, so we want to go with the transplanting process, so this artificial seed is helpful for the cost reduction thing. Okay, and if you want to just carry, these are actually the carriers of adjuvants, like for example the microorganisms, the plant growth regulators, pesticides, fungicides, nutrients, and antibiotics. So this can be used for this purpose also. Okay, and large scale monoculture process, so this is helpful in monoculturing processes methods, and they can be easily handled, and we can just easily go with the process of plantation as well if we are dealing with the artificial seeds. Okay, it is not a very complicated process, it is in a just simple manner. We can pick up the beads, the artificial seeds, and we can plant them easily in the fields. Okay, and obviously while going with the process of artificial seed, we can go with a large scale production. Okay, and the embryos which we can produce, they can be identical embryos, and we can store them for future uses also. And while with the determination of role of endosperm in the embryo development and germination as well, so these artificial seeds, they are helpful in this process also. And somoclonal variation, you will have the next session on that, somoclonal variation. These artificial seeds, they help for the study of the somoclonal variation as well. Okay, so the advantages of these artificial seeds. So obviously, as I told you, we are having high volume, large scale propagation methods. The genetic uniformity of the plants, they are being maintained. Okay, the direct delivery of the propagules to the field. We can just take the artificial seed and we can just propagate it to the field. We can transfer it to the field. Okay, so this can be done, and the cost of the plantlet, it is comparatively very much low. Okay, and the multiplication of the plants will be very rapid. Okay, the moment we are using this kind of technique with the use of this artificial seed methodology, so the process lightens, and production is very high volume with the genetic uniformity. We can just maintain the genetic makeup of our seeds, the plant as well. And the synthetic seed technology, it offers tremendous potential in micropropagation and germplasm conservation. Okay, we have discussed about what about the micropropagation process, how we can propagate, how we can just produce the clones of our plant and produce multiple plants. Okay, so artificial seeds, they help in this particular processes and the germplasm conservation as well. And there are certain various commercial scale advantages of these artificial seeds as well, like large scale production and cost effectiveness. And the limitations of this is it is actually limited production of these micropropagation. Okay, and the asynchronous development of somatic embryo. Sometimes the somatic embryo can be developed asynchronously. Okay, sometimes there is lack of dormancy and the stress tolerance, and the improper maturation of these somatic embryos, that can just make them inefficient for germination and conversion into the normal plants. So these can be the conditions, because as I told you, the moment the explant is transferred into the calyx culture, production of the somatic embryo, so we need to understand this somatic embryo should go and mature. The moment it will go and mature, then only we can proceed with the process of artificial seeds. Okay, so if there is improper maturation of the somatic embryo, then obviously the germination process will not be in an appropriate manner, and the production of the plant will not be in the manner where we want the normal plants to be produced. Okay, so the growth will be hampered in the sense. Okay, so with the respect to artificial seeds, I guess I have done with artificial seeds a brief introduction to what about the artificial seeds, the methods, and then I want to talk about the somatic hybridization. So you have talked about what is somatic embryogenesis. So I'll talk about next is somatic hybridization. So the process of somatic hybridization, it is involving the development of hybrid plants, and how these plants are being produced. They are being produced when the somatic protoplast of two different species, they are being fused together. Okay, so under somatic hybridization, we are having two different species. We are taking plant A, plant B, and what we are doing, we are just fusing their protoplast. And we are developing a hybrid plant, and the process is known as somatic hybridization. Okay, this is a non-conventional genetic procedure where we are just involving fusion between the isolated protoplast, and all this is happening under in vitro condition. Okay, and subsequently the development of the product, which is actually a heterokaryon. Just because we are taking two different varieties, so the product will be a heterokaryon, and finally the hybrid plant is being produced. Okay, so in this process of somatic hybridization, it involves the following steps. What we are doing, we are first of all isolating the protoplast. We are taking the two species, parent A and parent B, and we are isolating the protoplast from both the parent species. Okay, the next step is we want to go with the process of protoplast fusion. So the fusion of the protoplast is taking place for whichever desired species, the parent A and B. So protoplast fusion will take place after the isolation step. Then after the fusion, what we will ultimately receive is said to be the hybrid cells. So we need to identify these hybrid cells and select them. The best ones will be selected and they will be cultured ultimately. And the moment we have got a healthy hybrid cell, we can proceed with the process of regeneration of a hybrid plant. Okay, so these are the steps which are commonly used in the process of somatic hybridization. Here you can see, as we are very much aware, the plant cell, it consists of these cell organelles, the nucleus is there, cytoplasm is there, it is also having the plasma membrane as well as the cell wall. So the first thing is, as I told you, the first step was protoplast isolation. Okay, so the protoplast is being isolated, and these two enzymes, they actually work in this process, breaking up the cell wall. Okay, the cell wall is being broken up, cellulase enzyme and pectinase both will work here, and the protoplast for both the species, they will be isolated. Okay, so we have got the two protoplasts, parent A protoplast and parent B protoplast. Then what we need to proceed is with the process of protoplast fusion. You can see here, the moment fusion occurs, okay, cell fusion takes place, and later on nuclear fusion takes place. What we will receive finally is said to be the somatic hybrid cell. Okay, so here you can see in an elaborated manner, these are the two strains. We have just isolated the protoplast. We have got the two protoplasts, the protoplast A and protoplast B. Okay, from the two strains A and B. Okay, and we are using the fusogens just to fuse the protoplast. There are a variety of fusogens. PEG is there, this sodium nitrate is there. So they will help to fuse the two protoplasts. So the isolated protoplasts, just on the treatment of these fusogens, they will fuse together. The protoplast will be fused. Okay, and the moment they will be fused, a wall will be generated. Okay, so we will just take these fused protoplasts and we need to plate these protoplasts. So what happens the moment the nucleus, they also get be fused together. So the first, the cytoplasm will be fused here in the manner you can see here. The cytoplasm will be fused, cell fusion, and later on nuclear fusion takes place. So we have got the hybrid cell. Here you can see with the division, the first division, the clumping of cells, colony formation, and we will have a callus tissue. So callus differentiation will take place, and after the regeneration of plantlet, we can just verify and characterize our somatic hybrid. Okay, so this is a detailed process of somatic hybridization. There are basically two types of somatic hybrids. There is this symmetric somatic hybrid, okay, which is said to be a combination of both nuclear and cytoplasmic genetic information of both plants. So what we are doing, we are taking these two plants, plant A and plant B species, and the cytoplasm as well as the nucleus of both these species, they are being combined. Okay, so this is said to be the symmetric somatic hybrid. Okay, the second one is the asymmetric somatic hybrid. It is said to be an incomplete type of hybridization, and in this there is loss of some cytoplasmic or nuclear DNA. Okay, in this case of hybridization, we are introducing the fragments of the nuclear genome from one donor into the intact genome of the recipient. Okay, so we are just fusing both the cytoplasm, but the nucleus material, the nuclear material, we are taking from either of the one parent. Okay, so that is said to be the asymmetric somatic hybrid, and that is the condition where we are considering there is a cytoplasmic hybrids, the hybrids. Okay, so what they are doing, they are harboring only one parental nuclear genome, and either the cytoplasm genome of both the parents are being fused, okay, or we are just picking up the genome of the other parent for which we have not considered the nucleus. Okay, so generally what we are doing is we are picking the nucleus and of one of the parent, and both the cytoplasm, they are being fused together, and we are producing the hybrid. Okay, so I talked about this protoplast fusion. You must have heard about protoplast fusion. So protoplast fusion was when we were fusing the two protoplasts for species A and species B. So this process, it is involving mixing of the protoplasts of the two different genomes. Okay, we are having two different species, and this is process can be achieved. We can go with the spontaneous fusion process or an induced fusion process. Okay, so if we go with the process of induced fusion, so we need to understand their various methods. We can treat them with sodium nitrate, we can use the calcium ions at high pH, okay, and we can use the polyethylene glycol method or the electrofusion method. Okay, in the back in the representation, I told you these were PEG was used, polyethylene glycol, here PEG was used, and we got this protoplast being fused together, the cell fusion, the nuclear fusion, and the somatic hybrid cell production. Okay, so these polyethylene glycol, so this is the most successful technique for the protoplast fusion, for fusing the protoplast, and they are suspended in this particular case, these protoplasts, they are suspended in a solution which is containing high molecular weight polyethylene glycol. Okay, because this helps with this enhances the process of agglutinations, and further the fusion of the protoplast takes place. Okay, so this is all about the polyethylene glycol, where we are considering a defined high molecular weight PEG is being used, and in this particular environment, the protoplast, they just go the enhancement of the agglutination process, and they just go and fuse together. But in case of electrofusion, what we are doing is we are relying on the two different electrical pulses. The protoplasts, they are brought into intimate contact, and during the first pulse called the dielectrophoresis, and the second pulse is a very short burst of intense direct current, and this is actually helping for the fusion of the membranes. Okay, so where we are providing the electric pulses, that is said to be electrofusion, and when we are using the PEG, so that is supposed to be one of the successful techniques for the whole process of protoplast fusion. Okay, so this is a small representation of the production of hybrid. You can see here hybrid is containing the nuclear and the cytoplasmic genome of one parent, and only the cytoplasmic genome of the second one. Okay, here you can see this is the parent protoplast with nucleus and cytoplasm. Okay, this is the parent B. It is also having so it earlier had this protoplast as well as the nucleus, so we just took an enucleated protoplast, and what we need to do is we need to just fuse them together. Okay, so when we are just fusing them together, so what we are getting is, when we are fusing both these, so generally we get a somatic hybrid, the heterokaryon that we have studied earlier. But when we are taking one parent with a nucleus and the other parent without a nucleus, and we are fusing, the cell fusion is taking place, so what we will get ultimately is said to be a hybrid with the two parental cytoplasm but nucleus of one of the parent. Here you can see it is having the nucleus of parent A only. It is not having the nucleus of parent B. But in case of this somatic hybridization, it is containing the nucleus of both the parents. They actually get fused together and somatic hybrid is being produced. But we can also go with the process of cypher production, okay, through the same process of somatic hybridization, where we are fusing the protoplast and we are getting the nucleus of both the species. Hybrid we have got, but here the fusion doesn't take place, so there is no nuclear fusion. And what we can do is, we can just eliminate one of the nucleus, and the production of hybrid will take place. Okay, so this was all about a general discussion on artificial seed, somatic hybrid, and hybrid. I had just discussed a brief about all these terms, and I guess I've done the presentation today with the lecture for the day, and I can just take the questions now.